I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Bruh.
What?
I'm gonna pop some tags. Only got $20 in my pocket.
What?
Okay, Okay, yeah, we are live.
Fantastic.
All right, looks like we are good to go. Welcome everyone to Serenity Spring Festival 2025, day one of live streams. And of course, we are going to be doing the next Team Serenity live stream today. And we are going to be talking about the Sonamy ship evolution, which of course I'm joined by my two BFFs here who formed Team Serenity with me, Doom the MemeQueen and AndrewHVA.
What's up, nerds?
Hey.
And just like last time when we did Sonic Movie 3 with Team Serenity, we are going to be doing these in segments about the whole Sonamy ship and how it has, from when it first started all the way to now. So let's get started, shall we? All
Yeah.
right. All right, so the very first one, it's already clearly here, is the Sonic the Hedgehog manga that came out a year before Sonic CD came out. So, in case for those in the audience who don't really know, because this is a really lost media and most people don't know, in this iteration of the, it's its own iteration. This manga pretty much tells about a very shy young boy named Nicky, and he lives in Hedgehog Town, where he actually has a mom and a dad and a little sister. And in this iteration, Amy Rose is actually Nicky's girlfriend in this, which is very interesting. But you do kind of wonder, where does Sonic the Hedgehog fall? Because you hear Nicky, but where is Sonic, right? You question this. But what actually happens is that whenever Amy is in danger, Nicky has no idea he turns into Sonic the Hedgehog. And actually, that's how he ends up saving the day. But then when he actually turns back into himself, Nicky has like no memory that he becomes Sonic the Hedgehog. And because Sonic is just, very heroic, that really got Amy's attention, and Amy actually starts to have a longing for Sonic. And this makes Nicky jealous pretty much. And Nicky is pretty much jealous of himself without realizing it. Which is the funniest thing ever. But what's interesting is that Dr. Eggman does appear in this iteration, always wanting to cause trouble, but Nicky actually does have a bully and the bully's brother, and the bully is named Anton Veraka. And his brother is named Mad for whatever reason. But I find this very interesting that it's kind of like so now that you guys got the premise, like what do you think of just from what I just told you both, what the manga is about? Who wants to go first?
Got any words, Andrew?
I'm thinking. Oh, it's an interesting version. I mean, it makes me think of Freakazoid, where you had Dexter Douglas into Freakazoid, and Freakazoid's like a completely different person. Yeah, no, it's different, I guess. It's interesting.
A bowl, I got a bowl. Good for me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's different. It's odd. It's an odd thing, I guess, a bit as well, because it's interesting but different, but also odd because it's like they don't adapt this in the games.
Mhm.
Unless they are secretly in this whole time, Sonic is actually Nikki this entire time in the games.
Sonic is Nicki Minaj. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, like this premise was like interesting because this came out a year before Sonic CD, and you could say this is like the only like media where even though it's not technically Sonic and Amy being an actual couple, it's like this shy young boy is, who turns into Sonic the Hedgehog, is actually, the boyfriend of Amy Rose in this iteration. And it's an interesting take. Like, and I think that the bully is like a lizard or something. I don't think they really emphasize what type of lizard he is.
Lizard?
Yeah, the bull Nikki's bully is basically a lizard named Anton Baraka. I don't know where that name came from, but um but I think it's just an interesting take because it's kind of like um of course it's not canon at all, but it's like an interesting like what if, but as I said, like it's more about Nikki, turning into Sonic. So it's not technically about Sonic, but at the
Hmm.
same time it kind of is cuz like you could say like it's like you said, Andrew, it's kind of like Freakazoid where he becomes
Yeah.
like completely different person, in terms personality wise. So I think that's what's
Um,
very intriguing about it because we all
I have a
know
question.
Sonic. Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, what year did this come out?
This came out in 1992.
Literally says
So,
so in the segment card.
I know that. I meant, what I'm saying is, so we all thought Amy was 1993, right? So, was Amy 1992 then?
That's a good question. Like I think they go by game wise, I guess.
Okay. So, was
Yeah,
so did Amy not appear until 1993 in the thing?
yeah, in terms of the game, like Sonic CD, that's where she appears, her first debut. But I'm guessing they don't really count this because it's not part of the, Sonic canon, I guess. So even though in technicality this is her first appearance, because she does literally look like her CD art is. Like she literally wears like the skirt and the green. So it's like it's very very hard to explain, but this is in
Hmm.
technicality she appeared in, but since Sega doesn't really consider it canon, because it's its own media, that's why they made CD like her actual first official debut, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay.
What do you think, Doom? Like, just from the summary I told you about this, what do you think about this?
I'm sorry, I was looking up Anton Vareka and he looks like a character from Leapfrog. Anyways, not the case. From what I captured, it just sounds like Nikki is going through DID, which is why
Mm,
which is why he doesn't know which is why he doesn't remember being Sonic and being jealous of himself. But that's just
mhm,
what I think.
mm. Yeah,
It's also
like
for some reason why is it I know this is like from 1992, but why is it given miraculous?
oh. Yeah, it was like an interesting but like I said, it's like it's kind of like, oh, this character turns into Sonic. Like because we've all known Sonic for, just as he is, like he doesn't have no alter ego or anything. But here in this manga, media, that he's actually an alter ego of the main character Nikki. So I think it's just an interesting piece of media that most people don't really know about until you actually start digging, So it's definitely an interesting one. And a- and the thing is like Amy Rose is an actual really really wonderful girlfriend where she always like tries to encourage Nikki. And then, of course, she has that hero worship thing where she develops a crush on his alter ego. So it's just an interesting iteration with what they did, you know?
So Amy got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You get the best of both worlds.
Oh, yeah, you could say that. Like she gets the shy, and cowardly boy, but at the same time, alter ego kind of fills that heroic aspect that
So
Nikki's
Nikki
like.
is basically Nikki and Sonic is basically like if Miley Cyrus doesn't know she was Hannah Montana.
Oh my gosh, interesting analogy, Doom. All right. Yeah, let's go to the next one because this is a very short segment. So, oh yes, where it actually all started.
Here we go. 1993.
And I still don't know anything about that.
Yes, like this one, it's like back in the day, for those who don't know, we had like, the usually the only the manuals had the story, what was going on in the
Oh
game
yeah.
and stuff. So basically, apparently according to Amy's bio in the manual, like she actually read her tarot card that she was going to meet her hero, Sonic the Hedgehog. And she found this out through her tarot card. And of course, we had to use our imagination because we
Imagine
like like if you know what I mean, like we didn't have no cutscene. And then I guess when Sonic Origins came out, when they had that compilation, you know, they actually made the effort to make the cutscene where Amy was reading her tarot card and was gonna meet Sonic. So I'm like, okay, they actually did this, they actually showed us a cutscene where she used her tarot card and she actually did a reading for herself that she was going to meet her hero Sonic. So their
she kind
first
of cheated
meeting,
herself out of a bad reading.
um, but I think for the time when they were just creating the premise, I think it was a cute premise. It's like, like she actually does her reading, with through her tarot card, and it's like, oh, okay, so she does her tarot card, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go out of my way to actually go meet him, and wouldn't behold, she ends up getting kidnapped by Metal, and I'm like, and I said, girl, how did you get yourself captured?
No
Like,
cap on Mr.
um but I think, for the time, since, it was very limited on, on the cartridges back in the day, I think the premise was really cute. But I want to know your both of your guys' perspective because, since you voiced Sonic and Amy for in Rebo, I want to know what your guys um thoughts on their first meeting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Are we actually
As
thinking
wait.
about this?
Yes. I guess Sonic would just saw Amy as a big fan, and he was just like, "Cool."
It's also kind of like, don't you have somewhere else to be? Because you saw how she was. You saw how she was in like the first stage, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, following him around and hugging him. Yeah.
And love hearts coming out of her. How does that work?
Yeah. Funny thing is, I didn't play Sonic CD until Gem's collection came out. So I played it not until 2005.
Mm.
Before I was born.
Before you were born, yes. Like I knew Sonic CD existed, but I just never got around to actually playing it till that year, till the collection came out, because I couldn't afford at the time the Mega CD, so I never actually got to play it on the actual Mega CD. So
Mm.
Yeah. So I kind of got raised with Amy from the UK comic, Sonic the Comic more. So
Mm.
I got used to her from that, where she was a lot different as a character. Like, well, she was still in love with Sonic, like she is in this game, but she was also very different, and she kind of did her own thing and was very like taking charge sometimes, and sometimes was left in charge when Sonic went off to do other things. So it's quite drastic how different they actually are as characters in some ways.
Mm. That's understandable.
Mm.
But when you did get around to playing CD, like what was just like what was just your reaction when you saw the way that Amy was behaving? Just like she got hearts coming out and like following him around and trying to hug him. Like what was
To be
your
honest,
reaction?
I thought it was very sweet.
I thought I saw those two, like I saw Amy like hugging Sonic, and I'm like, hey, is that your girlfriend, dude?
Yeah, the little hug and everything. It's just so really. It's just quite cute, really. So I was just like, oh,
I also heard that Sonic CD takes place before Sonic 2. Is that right?
Yeah,
yes, apparently so.
So
yeah,
like Amy's like the
according
first person Sonic ever met, maybe
yeah,
ish.
Well,
yeah,
technically
like
Eggman, but
Yeah, technically Eggman, but maybe shut up.
okay, I think Doom is like saying like out of
I know.
Sonic's friends, but yeah, in technicality, Sonic met Amy first before Tails and Knuckles. So I was pretty
Yeah,
surprised because like Sonic CD like um like came out after those two. So it's like okay, yeah. So I guess we got confirmation when Origins came out. Said Sonic 1 and then it's like CD, then 2 and 3, and Knuckles,
It was
so it's
probably the
like,
reason why we haven't seen Tails in the game. At least I
ah,
think.
that's true. That's
wasn't there a
true.
sound? Wasn't there like a sound test mode, and Tails isn't his plane flying past?
I never played the game. You tell me.
I have to double check this. I swear Tails pops up. Hold on.
He's like, let me look this up. Because I know I think it caught people off guard because they would assume it was like Sonic 1 and then 2, then 3 and Knuckles and then CD. And then they drop a bombshell on us and say, no, CD was before 2 and 3 and Knuckles. I'm like,
I thought
like,
Tails made a minor cameo in it.
okay. Made a minor
Yeah,
cameo.
that's
I
what it's
did.
like. Tails cameo. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, the debug mode on lock screen. No, wait, no.
Mm.
I swear Tails flies past on his plane. maybe I hallucinated.
Busy
Are
boy.
you like maybe you're thinking of Sonic Advance? Because isn't there like the ending and when you play each
I
character?
don't know. I need to research this. I swear. I swear.
um but yeah, like I do agree. I think the interaction was just cute because it's like Sonic just be all awkward about it. Like, what's she doing? Why is she hugging me? Why is she clinging to me?
Like
Like,
at first they were like strangers and probably still are in the game. But you know.
yeah. And then of course like Amy ended up getting kidnapped by Metal. And it's like Sonic's like, "Welp, I gotta go save this stranger." like like but at least when you think about it, he didn't really give it a second thought. He's like, "Yeah, I better go save her." Even though she was like hugging me and because like I said, Sonic is like I think he was like definitely feeling awkward, because he's probably like we clearly couldn't see it in the pixel sprites or anything, but I think it's pretty obvious he was like awkward and probably uncomfortable,
He's
with the
probably
way.
shy.
Yeah, like because maybe because he's like he hasn't met anyone that has done that to him, maybe, you know, like if you know what I mean, like yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of like you're in that phase where you're not used to someone like clinging to you, because especially because this is when they were like younger, you know. um and this was like your very first meeting, because usually when you want to meet someone, you want to make a good first impression. Amy's first impression is to hug him, and he's like, why are you hugging me? like he's probably questioning, why are you hugging me? But but I kind of but what I but what's interesting about CD though is that they I think CD has like two different like soundtracks, I think songs, because depending if you have the English or the Japanese version. So I found that very interesting.
Was it
You know,
because like the
Yes,
intro song? Like what?
but
Go ahead.
yeah, I believe the UK release we had the Japanese soundtrack.
mm, yeah,
So yeah, the US had a completely different soundtrack. We shared the Japanese.
nice. Yes, But but I think, overall their meeting was just adorable, and then Sonic was just a shy boy who was just, just enjoying his life, and he's like, "Oh, this random stranger girl just comes and hugs me." you know? Like because I think at this point you can clearly see that Amy already has like a like an admiration for him because he's a hero, you know? It's kind of like hero worship, if anything. Um, that's kind of how I see it, you know. But yeah, but overall, it's like it really established though, but you got to admit it really established their dynamic right away, you know? Because because you can tell these two are like the polar opposite of Mario and Peach. You know when you play the original Super Mario, it's like Mario's got to go save the princess. He gets a kiss, but then this one's like a reverse, And then it's like Amy's the one that's like like here, I was like, I'm just gonna hug this guy because he's the one I'm destined to meet. And he's just like, why are you hugging me? Like, type thing. So he definitely, like, you could tell they are like the polar opposite. Oh, and then okay, I see a comment in the chat by Sugar Gun said, if you think of shonen, the girl is always in love and the boy is five walls of dense when it comes to romance. um I don't think Sonic is as dense as you believe him to be, though. Like,
Probably not, but it'd be funny.
yeah, because Sonic is aware, but but since we know Sonic is like the type of guy who doesn't really like to get into emotions or talking about emotions and feelings, so he usually tends to avoid that. So, but any final thoughts about Sonic CD in terms of Sonic and Amy?
Um, I just want to quickly say that I think the thing I'm talking about is the DA Garden, which I think was actually only in the 2011 release. That's probably why Tails is flying around, because Tails was included in that one. So
Oh.
yeah, you see Tails flying in his plane around the planet for some reason.
Ah, okay. That makes a lot of
That's why I got
sense.
confused. Unless it is in the original, I don't know, because I never played the Mega CD one.
Any final thoughts, too?
First
um,
interaction. Well, cute. Oh my god, bro. Bro!
what?
What do you want?
No, nothing. Go on.
I would say that their first interaction was really cute.
And then, of course, this started the whole, ah, Amy's in love with Sonic. So let's go to the next segment, which of course is the main games. So I guess, what we can start with is probably Sonic Adventure. Um, I would say, like, from her dialogue in Adventure, you can clearly tell that Sonic has inspired her, to be a hero in her own right,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Oh
and
yeah.
and she literally, like, I remember she did try to ask Sonic, when I think it was like a flicky, I think fell on her head or something like that, and then the robot was like chasing the flicky. And she's like, "Let's go find Sonic." And it's like, "Sonic, can you take care of this flicky?" He's like, "What? No way." And he just runs away. And then she's like, "Hey, come back
Yeah.
here." Like, I'm
Take care of the
like,
children.
I ain't got no time for that.
Sonic is running away from being a flicky daddy.
Ah!
Yeah.
I ain't paying Flicky support.
like literally, like I think Baby Sock's like, I don't got time to be I don't have time to be a babysitter, because he was doing his own thing. But what I love is that even though Amy did try to rely on Sonic, she's like, you know what? She actually goes out of her way to literally help the Flicky reunite with their other, I think, Flicky family, I guess, or friends. I don't
It was
know
like,
if they,
if you won't do it, I will.
yeah. But I kind of like how, I think what was very, very, very pivotal is that, like, in Adventure 1, literally Amy, I think when Sonic was fighting Gamma, like, she literally got in front of Gamma so Sonic wouldn't hurt Gamma, because Gamma actually set her and the Flicky free. And it really made Sonic actually, like, like, at first he's like, "Get out of the way, Amy." It's like, "Let me just trash this robot." Like, that was literally his attitude, and then literally Amy changed his mind, and I think that was a very pivotal moment, because, like, Sonic usually doesn't have a care when he's fighting Eggman's robots. He just thinks they're all the same. They're mindless and they just follow, like, their creators, like, commands. But Gamma literally broke out of that, and
Mm.
because Amy, like, protected Gamma from getting destroyed by Sonic, Sonic literally, like, actually saw that Amy was serious, in her conviction that, like, this robot is good, he's not bad. And I think, you could say Sonic had to, like, you know, he, because he actually trusts Amy in here. This is probably, like, a very interesting way to show that, like, even though Amy has annoyed him, with, like, declarations of her love, right? Here he actually respects her, that, like, hey, this robot is not as bad as you believe it to be. And and I think that's, like, an interesting way to showcase it, you know. But what did you guys think of that when Amy protected Gamma from Sonic? What was your guys, like, reaction to that?
Yeah, I thought that it just shows how Amy's becoming a lot more in herself, and she's also very persuasive. She's persuaded Sonic not to smash Gamma. She persuaded Gamma to think for himself. She persuaded Shadow to go and help everybody.
Are we
um,
talking about Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic Adventure 2?
I was talking about Adventure 1 and 2 there because it's in the main games from 1998 to 2010.
Fair
But
enough.
um, yeah, yeah, Amy was becoming a lot more stronger in herself and wielding that hammer, smashing things. Um, yeah, it was a interesting evolution from Sonic CD to Sonic Adventure.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Doom? What did you think of that, like, interaction?
I was just thinking about the glimpse of Metal Sonic in one of the cutscenes, but not the case. Not the case. What I think is that like Andrew said, she was like really persuasive. Like, and I don't know how she does that. Like, how does she do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, like yeah, Amy definitely has like this way to be persuasive, because it's something that even Sonic can't do. Like he can't like he doesn't know how to be persuasive, but when it comes to Amy, Amy can be very persuasive. That's just something she has an advantage of over Sonic. Like Amy just has this like interesting way to be persuasive, and um it's quite an interesting thing, you know. And I kind of like how she took the initiative in Adventure 1 because clearly, Sonic's like main mission was to, stop Eggman and of course Chaos, because that was like the main big huge story of Adventure 1. And then meanwhile with
Oh yeah.
Amy, it was her going on her own to like, okay, Sonic's busy with, having to deal with Eggman and Chaos. It's like, I'm gonna go help out this Flicky and reunite them with their friends or family. I don't know if they're friends or family that Amy like reunited the Flicky with the other Flickies. So
Well, yes.
like it's definitely, but I think it shows her growth in independence, to not be
Mm.
dependent on Sonic, you know and I kind of feel that like because of like the upcoming, the games after this, it's like especially like after the adventure games, like she starts to become like a comedic gag where she just chased Sonic and then Sonic just runs away. So I think that's why people
Yeah.
tend to forget that she actually has her own identity outside of Sonic. I think it was just the way she was
Mm.
portrayed in the like later games up to 2010 is kind of where she became a comedic gag, and people seem to
Yeah.
forget that she had that independence from Adventure 1. So,
Yeah, I would say after Sonic Heroes, I think she started becoming a gag because she like hugs
mhm.
different, hugs Silver thinking it's Sonic, and yeah, that became a thing.
And Shadow.
you know, you're
Yeah.
not Sonic. You're not Sonic.
Yeah.
Pushes them away.
Yeah.
yeah, hey, you got to
And then
get your eyes checked.
like but yeah, we can definitely transition into Adventure 2 because it's pretty much the sequel and follow up. But I find it interesting in Adventure 2, Amy takes like a back seat in this one, because the
Yeah,
main like like her only main like integral importance was literally trying to convince Shadow to help the others save the Earth, save the planet. And you could say, like, again, just as we reiterated, Amy knows how to be persuasive for some strange reason. Like she has like this special gift to be persuasive, because like literally Sonic and Shadow are just like butting heads in Adventure 2, even though like in an earlier cutscene she mistakes Shadow for Sonic, you know, um and stuff, but when you see it, like Shadow, like even though he was stopped by Eggman, like he didn't really react when Amy hugged him for some reason. So it's an interesting detail that people have caught, that Shadow didn't really show a reaction,
I guess
but
because Shadow's confused when it happened. He's just like, who are you?
y- yeah, like
Get
it's
off me.
He
well,
didn't
Shadow,
react.
yeah, he didn't react, like
It's
Um,
true. He's just going with it. It's just like, okay, I'm being hugged.
because wasn't
Maybe
it
he liked it. Maybe he was like, this feels good.
Reminds me from Maria.
this feels good. Like
It
but you
feels
could
good.
because you could say it's like a mirror. You know how like in Sonic CD, like since it was like in pixel sprites, you don't really see Sonic's like reaction. Like because I don't think in CD he reacted too, right? I could be wrong for all I know.
No,
I
no,
don't
So
Sonic
remember.
didn't react. Only Amy reacted. She was the one with hearts and hugging him, and yeah, the Sonic sprite just stood there, like looking, staring into space.
yeah. So but then like you know, with Shadow, she kind of like she's like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "You're not Sonic." Um so but then like I said, Amy takes a more integral role when she's like she makes this motivational speech that like the people of the planet deserve a chance to be happy, you know, and she kind of gives this motivational speech and then you could say it's because of Amy's like words, like it just gives him huge reminder of Maria, you know, and you could say that that actually helped Shadow unlock his like because I think like Shadow's memories were like tampered, so that's why he had like um you know feelings of vengeance and revenge because he didn't remember Maria's promise until Amy gave that motivational speech,
What's the
you
difference
know.
between vengeance and revenge?
But
Yeah, that's a good
but
question. Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah, I thought so.
yeah, the it's like they're very synonyms if anything, but I think with yeah, I think it was like if I remember correctly, like Shadow's memories were like I guess tampered with, so that's why Gerald wanted Shadow to carry out the order, you know, but because of Amy, Amy helped him remember like that Maria's like give them a chance to be happy. So um so so yeah, Amy just plays a very minor role but important role at the same time in Adventure 2.
Which makes me sick.
Okay.
It's all good though, because Sonic Heroes is next, and
Mhm,
she's has her own team.
mhm.
Big the
Yeah.
cat.
And
With
of
Big the
course,
Cat.
her main motivation. Oh, Sonic! She's just looking at him in a newspaper. I was like, girl.
Hey,
Like,
it's a newspaper. I thought it was a photo.
it
Looks
looked
like a
like a
newspaper, bro.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
either.
It
Oh
looked
man, I
like
gotta look.
I mean, it's
I
either.
gotta look at this again.
Or maybe the newspaper was just like when I don't know when cheese and chocolate went missing. Wait, not cheese and chocolate. Froggy.
because
And chocolate.
it literally had a photo of Sonic on there. That's why Amy was like saying Sonic, you know. And then like Cream and Big, you know, like
Oh my
Cream and
gosh, yes,
Slim.
it is. Sorry, it's been so long since I've seen that cutscene.
Honestly, I
Yes, it
won't
is
blame you there. I
a
will cut you some
newspaper.
slack.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I think, you know, the beginning of it, it's like, oh yeah, of course Amy would be like her main focus is Sonic, but then she sees that Cream and Big are like in distress because like Cheese wants to find its sibling Chocola, and then like because Chocola and Froggy go missing, and then Amy's like, "Don't worry, we'll go and find them." um, but I think the funny cutscene was when Team Rose and Team Sonic like meet up, and then like first thing Amy says, "Got you, my darling Sonic." Amy, what are you doing here? Sonic, this time there's no way out of marrying me. I'm like,
There's
girl,
no way out of marrying me.
I'm just like, girl, this is not the time to be thinking about that. like, um,
Teasing. She's teasing.
And I kind of like though, like when you start the fight, you can hear Sonic's like, "Amy, knock it off!" like you can hear Sonic's
You're
like.
embarrassing me in front of the boys.
But what did you guys think of that? Like just transitioning from that cutscene into that team versus team fight. Like the very first dialogue you hear from Sonic, he's like, "Knock it off, baby!" like,
I would
I
say it's like
mean,
really funny.
I mean, it's a bit of a weird encounter in Sonic Heroes. I know they did it just have teams fight each other, but it is a bit weird when you think about it. It's like, why are they fighting? You know, they're supposed to be friends.
Yeah, that was my question also. Like, why? What do they do?
It's like he's so desperate to like, you're marrying me or else, and it's like, I'm not marrying you. They start fighting each other. It's like, what's going on? And then it's like, aren't they looking for Sonic, who apparently has, you know, Chocola and Froggy? And it's like, the Sonic, they didn't even ask him, saying, where's Froggy? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand that whole bit, really. I just
like,
even if you have the
yeah.
cutscene, if you try and look at the writing on the paper, it doesn't even make any sense. It's like
like,
mentions about like Sonic to the rescue, something palm gear. You'll manage. I didn't
like,
really think about reading this. I think it's just reading like, I think it's like dialogue from a manual or something. They just put it as the writing.
Why not?
Yeah, supersonic attack. It's like, what's this about?
yeah, like, yeah, the
Through chilly
dialogue.
underground caverns.
like like I have to say, like the dialogue is weird because it's like maybe it's just to be a funny moment, I guess that's what they were going for. But yeah, the transition is a little weird because it's like we do get the premise that the teams are supposed to face each other, but it's like, yeah, why is Team Sonic and Team Rose fighting?
What's the
Like,
point?
Yeah,
yeah, that
their
part
fight
was.
warrant has no reason.
You took
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah, like I do agree. Like the whole point of Team Rose's story is that they're trying to find Chocola and Froggy. So I'm like, Amy, get your mind out of the gutter. Ask Sonic where they are. like, at least do that, because that at
Wouldn't
least
it be
would
better
have.
to say "get your head out of the clouds" instead?
Yeah, get your head out of the clouds. Yeah, that actually sounds a lot better.
It's like
um,
get your head out of the gutter. What kind of joke is Amy making?
but yeah, like the transition's a little bit weird. Like I feel like the writing was a
Very.
little wonky on that part because it's like I do agree with Andrew that you guys are friends. Why are you fighting?
Yeah,
like,
and they're looking for Sonic, who apparently stole Froggy and Tricola.
Why
yeah.
can't
It doesn't,
we be friends?
you know, the picture had Sonic holding them, running with them. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
what's going on? Why was Sonic in the news? It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, like because at
Sonic
least.
has no like Sonic has no clue about this. He doesn't even get spoken about it, or they ask about it. Nothing. It just gets like pushed to the side.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. The Sonic and Amy dynamic in Heroes was a bit weird. It's
Yeah.
in some cases it feels like they just made Team Rose because they just wanted to make another team and they didn't know how to place them into the story. Because at least the
Mhm.
Chaotix has a reason, and Team
Mhm.
Dark in some ways have a reason, and Team Sonic is the main story team.
Mhm. Yeah.
Technically,
Yeah.
you didn't need Team Rose. Technically,
Yeah. They kind of just you could say they kind of just forced them in there. You could say
yeah,
where it's like, oh yeah, let's incorporate Amy and give her a team. It's like, oh yeah, at the same time, we'll just have Amy just have her sights on Sonic. like like um
yeah,
because like as soon as the final boss, like I love how Amy shows that she's concerned because like as we know, Metal Sonic goes into I think Metal Overlord. I think I hope I'm right on the form that he turns into. Um, but
You
you
probably
know
are.
but I think what's interesting is that like Sonic is like saying this is a piece of cake, you know. He's kind of just like, okay, it's like he's like, we gotta go take down Metal, you know. And then Amy's like, Sonic, no. Like she's just worried about him. And then right after the final fight, like she literally is like, Chris like, is it Mr. Sonic? And then Amy just goes after him like, okay, yeah, she's back on cloud 9 chasing Sonic. But what's interesting in that cutscene, I think it was like at the end of the Team Rose story, not the final story, but when she actually when she actually sees Sonic, Cream actually points, isn't that Mr. Sonic? And then Amy just goes chase him, and then Sonic runs, but you see that he's actually smiling if you pause it at the right time, and you can see from, you know, where he's running from her, but he's actually smiling. Like, what do you guys make of that?
Wait, Sonic is smiling?
Like, it looks like he's
Look
smiling.
very closely.
I'm going to look very closely. Right, I've got the cutscene up right now. Let me have a look right now.
Like, it's kind of hard to tell, but he is, like, smiling, and it's like, what you
And then
playing
again,
at, Sonic?
look, Sonic is like really fast, and yet he's like at a similar pace as Amy. So would you say that's kind of like them being playful or something?
Interesting. Because I kind of feel like the way it's like, does Sonic like the attention or something, or is he just like?
I would say so. I think he does. He likes to tease Amy. He likes to run. You know,
Like,
I'm looking at this. I'm pausing it in 4K. Well, this video says 4K, and I cannot see a mouth on Sonic.
like
He's got no mouth.
Where's your mouth at?
How does he eat?
but from what I've noticed, like he kind of gives like a playful smile. So it's like I feel like he enjoys the attention, like in some way capacity. Like that's what I got out of it. Because when I first saw that, I was like, oh, Amy's chasing Sonic. And then you literally see it, and I pause. I'm like, wait, is he smiling? It was like, let me zoom in on this. I'm like, he is smiling. I'm like, is he enjoying this attention? Like, it's just very mind-boggling. Like the details that you don't catch at first, and then until you actually watch the scene again, it's like, oh wow.
Also, Sonic is running at a slower pace. He's obviously trying to make her keep up, so he's obviously teasing.
Mm-hmm.
He could be gone in like seconds, but Amy's keeping up. She's chasing him, and he's just looking at her, going, "Yep, come and get me, come and get me."
Yeah, like I believe. Wait, what was after Heroes that we can talk about that has? I know like Sonic Advance, the Advance series has a bit of it. Like I
Love how
forgot.
their team name is Lovely Couple.
Oh yeah, like that part
Oh
was like
yes,
so
there you go.
funny.
Yeah,
That part is funny because like I kind of like how like if you pair Sonic and Amy and then you just hear and then you just see Sonic's like face like he's just like why and then Amy's all happy when you pair them together. like what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like literally just seeing like Sonic's like it's like why like he has like
It's funny. It's really funny.
he has
it's
like
almost
this
like Sonic is. Sonic's a bit embarrassed in some ways. It's like he's a bit too shy to admit his feelings for Amy. He knows let's face it, Sonic has feelings for Amy. He just doesn't want to show it. He wants to keep running. Because if he slows down, he's not going to be running anymore. If he commits to a relationship, he's going to feel more responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like to hell with responsibilities.
Yeah. I think I think it was like, was it Sonic Advance 3 where like there was like this scene where like I think Amy's at Toy Kingdom and And then Sonic's like, Amy, like he looks like he's nervous, and then she's like, I think she says something, and he's like, and Sonic's like, let's not use that hammer. He's like trying to stop her from like trying to whack him or something. I think that interaction was cute. Because Amy was just acting like her, hi Sonic, like going into her lovey-dovey phase with him, and he's like, girl, let's not use that hammer, please. Like, and but yeah, I think this the advanced series, it was pretty good for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then let me just see I'm trying to see what's the next one that we can talk about in the main games.
Oh, that's another thing to point out about Sonic Advance 3. Amy says, "Are you going to ask me out?" That's what she
Ah,
says to him. And he says, No, I'm on my way to. And then she says, I knew we were meant to be. He's like, together? No such thing.
and then she's like,
Then she
say
says,
that
just
again.
admit it. Here it is. She says, why don't you just admit it? And then Sonic says, let's not use the hammer.
It's kind of like Amy's like, dare say that again. like I think Sonic knew that Sonic knew that he messed up. He's like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
He's like,
so sure.
let me
I
try.
missed that bit.
He's kind of like, let's mitigate this. Let's not go. He's like, let's not resort to the hammer. Like that's literally what he was saying. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just really funny.
And also,
Um,
Sonic Battle, when, what was his name? ML. Didn't he see Sonic as the dad and he saw Amy as the mum, right?
oh yeah,
Oh, Emerald?
Emerald.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ML, yeah.
They have
It was-
weird pronunciations, so I'm just saying Emerald.
Well, it's
yeah.
ML, isn't it? They say that in Sonic X. They say ML, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, but like Emerald just sounds better than ML.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was
In my
just
opinion, at least.
funny. It was funny because like as soon as like in Sonic Battle, Amy's like, oh, this is your kid? Okay, I'll be your mom. like she just jumps at the chance. I'm just like, whoa, girl. like that first baby laughed so hard when I saw that. And she's like, oh, Sonic, this is your kid? Okay, I'll be your mommy. I'm like, okay. like she just jumped at the chance. I'm like, snap, girl.
Yeah.
Honestly,
There you go.
I would have done the same.
like I was like, my gosh, woman. I was like, I didn't even know she got to go there. like then let's go into another major one up for Sonamy. um Shadow the Hedgehog game, I don't think they really interact that much, so I wouldn't really.
No.
Yeah, they don't
Something.
really interact that much. Um, oh yeah,
Yeah, they didn't. I know there was no. Yeah, no, they didn't. There was like barely any Sonic and Amy stuff in that game whatsoever. I just remember Amy
yeah,
was in that level, wasn't she? The castle level with Cream that was somehow stuck behind a wall.
yeah. Cream, what were you doing?
How did Cream get
exploding?
there? We don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna have to talk about the dreaded Sonic 06, but there is some major stuff that we get some revelation.
The dreaded Sonic 06. It's becoming a legend now. Everyone seems to love it.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's just because of the glitchy gameplay is kind of what steers people away from it, but the story is not bad. It's just the glitchy gameplay that messes you up, and the terrible loading screens where you feel like you're waiting a million
Oh, yeah.
years. Like
That is also valid.
but I
I
would
never forget those
say
days.
But I would
Old.
say the major stuff we can talk about in terms of Sonic and Amy is that the cutscene where Amy protects Sonic from Silver. I think that
Oh,
was
yes. I
very
was thinking.
interesting because literally, when Amy first met Silver, of course, she does her thing where she mistakes a hedgehog for Sonic. I don't know how she confused Silver, because Silver has completely different quill
It was probably
shape.
the lighting.
But the fact is that Silver was not clear with who he was looking for. Like, I don't even think he told Amy that he was looking for a blue hedgehog. All he said is that he was just looking for someone, you know. And Amy was like in the dark, and then she only found out when Silver attacked Sonic, and then she protected Sonic from Silver, because Silver was about to do a final blow on Sonic. But what's interesting is that Amy once again shows that she could be persuasive. Like, literally, Silver didn't mind hurting Sonic because he was under the belief and he was manipulated by Mephiles to kill Sonic. But like, Amy literally said absolutely not, and Silver did not want to attack her. And I'm just like, Amy once again just shows her persuasiveness. Like, I don't know how she did that. Like,
Not only is Amy persuasive in that game, but she's also really loyal.
Very.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Like,
that game shows how deep her love is, because she's like, I would choose choose Sonic over the world. It's like, woo.
That's very, which is really deep.
Because literally, like, Amy, and Amy is like literally saying like the person you were looking for with Sonic is like, were you trying to kill him? And then Silver's like, he's responsible for destroying my world. And she's like, that's crazy. Sonic would never do that. And then like Amy literally just defends Sonic in that cutscene. I'm just like, girl, just be protecting her man. And then
if I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I would choose Sonic. That's loyalty. Love it so much.
And what's interesting is that Silver actually sits down and actually questions Mephiles' like, if Mephiles was like telling him the truth or not. Like, he was actually doubting that, like, to kill someone to save the world, is that really the right thing to do? Like, he actually, because of Amy's words, like, it actually made Silver question it. So it's like interesting. And I think the loyalty, like, it really shows that her love is not just some crush. It's like a deep, deep, deep rooted love, bro. And what I love is that at least Sonic actually thanks Amy for saving him from Silver before he runs off to go save Elise. But another major thing, I'm not sure if you know, I think Sonic is the only one that has this like mission that like you can choose between Elise or Amy.
The trials.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
The trial of love, I think that's what it was. And apparently you could choose between Elise or Amy. And if you choose Amy, the guy says, "Oh, your longtime love." And I'm like, what are they implying here? like I'm just like it's an interesting quest because Shadow and Silver don't have this. It's only Sonic. So it's like, what does that say about, Sonamy in specific, Like, what do you think, Andrew?
About what?
Like, okay, the Trial of Love, they have...
Oh, the Trial of Love, yes.
Like, what do you think of it? Like, when you actually go, if you choose Amy, the guy at the literally says, "Oh, you choose your longtime love." What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's just because they've been clearly romantically interested in each other for a long time, and I think Sonic, like I said, I think deep down Sonic does like Amy, but he knows he can't settle down and commit. He's got to keep running. He's going to keep exploring. He's got so much to do and everything. He still wants Amy by his side, but he just can't like commit in a relationship. That's why we haven't had Sonic in a relationship in the games, because he's an adventure guy. He doesn't settle down.
Hmm. Yeah. And I know this is a very interesting thing to bring up, but I would say we could also bring up the Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, because in that game,
Yes.
in that it like in that game, you could actually initiate Sonic and Amy, you know, to actually initiate something with Amy, like through specific dialogue. Um, like I didn't really know this because I actually played through the entire game of Chronicles, and I get why people don't like it, which I understand. But what's interesting, like I said, if you initiate something, like it's kind of very similar to Unleash. Because I'm not sure, Andrew, if you talk to Amy, that you can say yes or no to a date. It's
Oh
kind of
yeah, I
like
did that. Yeah.
in Unleash, so it's kind of similar, but you can actually initiate throughout the entire game whenever Sonic talks to Amy. That you can either go down the route of like, nah, or you could actually go into more to more into the romantic part of it, which is an interesting thing because it gives the player the power to choose what they want to go
Yeah. I mean, I
for.
found that really fun personally. I thought that was quite fun in the game. Because Amy was going on about this Dexter guy that she's dating. Like, I got a boyfriend called Dexter. So I just made
Mhm,
Sonic react like, okay, whatever. Like, because Amy's obviously clearly, making it up to get Sonic jealous. So
mhm.
I just made Sonic react with, I don't really care attitude to Amy, but I kept making him very nice to Rouge.
Yeah, like I think it's like it's an interesting gimmick, that you do that throughout the entire game, which I find very interesting. And I think if you go down the more, you try to be more, more loving to Amy, she actually reveals that, yeah, Dexter's not real. Like I remember that, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, so if you go
Yeah,
down the route where Sonic is just indifferent and doesn't really care, you know, um,
yeah.
and stuff. So
You
I
gotta
find that
question. You gotta question why Amy did that to him, though. Why did she make up she had a boyfriend to make him jealous? Like what's going on? Why is she doing that to him? Is she getting fed up of waiting?
Test
like,
him to test him.
yeah, it could be. It could be because I know some people do that in real life, maybe to see if the person that they like will get jealous, because I guess there's some people kind of see it that like, oh, if if the person I like gets jealous when I'm talking about another person, maybe, they actually care. I don't know where people get that idea, but I think that's probably what Amy was thinking, just a prediction, at best.
Hmm.
So yeah, I felt yeah, like I actually like I found that gimmick very interesting. Like I said, I totally understand people hating Chronicles, and I totally understand their opinion, but it's like you gotta admit the Son Amy gimmick in that game is very interesting because they have not done that in any other games. um
No.
okay. Let's see what other games. Oh yes. Let's talk about Sonic Unleashed because that one, oh my gosh, gives me I think like the cute little scenes that we got in Unleash is is very interesting because like I think it's like at nighttime where Amy like actually hugs Sonic when he's as his werehog form, and she's like snuggling him and he's like, hey, let me go. And then she's like, you're crazy if you think you could get away from Amy Rose. And then she's like, who are you? And then like Sonic's like, and then she just pushes him. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I must have mistaken you for someone else. It's like, that is so strange. I could have sworn it was him. Anyways, I'm
I
really
will
sorry.
I will defend her on this one. I will defend her on this one because like from like a far away perspective, it really does look like Sonic, but she knows what Sonic looks like by not just by the looks, but more so like his height. When she went to grab Sonic as his Werehog form, she thought that Sonic was somebody else. So I'm defending her on this. Like I know how tall my man is.
Yeah. And the thing is that
Yeah.
Sonic never even gave any indication it was him too. Like it could be she was just in that lovey-dovey phase and didn't hear him speak. So that's
Yeah.
also another
Plus,
thing
he was
she
hairy.
Harry. But I think what's interesting about that scene is that once Amy runs away, he's like his arm is out, and then Chip um is like, I wonder why that girl didn't recognize it was you, Sonic. And then Chip just goes to say, oh, it's probably because you got these guys like Chip. and then um and then Sonic actually turns around and he's like bewildered and like sad. And then like Chip's like, oh wait, and he's trying to like save face that like, I mean, you only look really scary, Sonic. like I'm like I felt that scene very interesting because Sonic was actually sad. Like why do you from your both guys' perspective, why do you think Sonic was sad in that scene?
Probably like
I
I
guess
thought you would love me
because
for me regardless.
yeah, or maybe he felt like, oh, even my own close friend didn't recognize me. Oh,
Mhm.
Tails recognized him.
Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, like it's quite an
Tails was
interesting
like,
perspective.
Sonic, is that you? And Amy's like, you're not Sonic.
Okay,
Um,
I will. Okay, question. Because like
yes.
Tails was in some sort of trouble,
Yeah.
and when Amy just bumped into Sonic as his Warhog, she wasn't in trouble, right?
Yeah, she
No.
wasn't.
No. Until later on when they're like, she was dancing with that guy.
That part was funny. Like I kind of I was like, oh, come on, babe, let's dance the night away. I'm like, what's this dialogue? like that dialogue was so weird. I'm just like, it's like Amy's like just trying to get out of dancing with the dude. Is like, oh, come on, babe, let's dance the night away. I'm like, that's weird.
Looks
And then
disgusting. I will understand that.
like and then of course
Yeah.
in that cutscene where Sonic fights all those creatures and stuff, and then the cutscene that happens next, he picks up Amy, sets her down, and then Amy turns around and she's like surprised, and then he just turns around and uses his arms to stretch his arms and then go on the rooftop.
Hmm.
And then it's interesting, and then Chip's like, wait up, and then she's like, um and then she literally said that, like, was that Sonic? Like, I think it's like, it's just like you said, Andrew. It's because Tails was in danger. And then that's when Amy's like, was that Sonic? Did he save me?
Yeah.
And then pretty much Professor Pickles is the one that catches Amy up on everything, about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's like Tails and Amy both know that like Sonic will come to their rescue. So that's probably why. Because Amy in the first one, when she finds Sonic, even though she didn't know it was him at first, because she wasn't in danger, but since she was in danger in that other cutscene we just discussed, like she's like, oh, it couldn't be anybody else. It's got to be Sonic. So,
No
um,
one else will come to my rescue, so it's obviously Sonic.
mhm. And I think when you do talk to Amy, she says, "I can't believe you turned into that thing." And it's like, but she's like, "Regardless, you're still my Sonic, no matter what." And I'm just like,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this gives me Beauty and the Beast vibes." like,
Oh my goodness, just kiss already, you freaks.
like, and
Freaks.
And then I know there was like this other time when you can talk to Amy and then you could actually agree. It's another gimmick that you can either say yes or no to a date. And then I think people have implored, or not implored, but implied that if you know, in at the end of Sonic and the Black Knight, I think people have think that's connected to Unleash if you actually say yes to Amy. So it could be that at the end, you know, when Sonic and the Black Knight happened, Sonic was holding two chili dogs, and people have speculated the other chili dog was for Amy,
Yeah.
which was interesting. And I'm like, interesting. And then literally at the end of it, after Sonic told his story of his adventure in Black Knight, Amy, of course, doesn't believe him. And she's like, that's the lamest excuse ever. You just forgot about her date. And he's like, no, it really did happen. And then, of course, Amy decides to chase him because she doesn't believe his excuse. um,
Mm.
I think that's just very interesting, you know.
Yeah. It
Crash
just
Out
it
was
just
valid.
implies that there is romance between them, and Sonic has accepted a date. He missed it because he got caught up in the Camelot situation. So
hmm And then I think the most major one I would say that we could talk about is Frontiers. Before we move on to the next segment.
But this is
Frontiers.
like 1998 to 2010.
Oh yeah, that's true.
we haven't reached that time period. What's happening? We're skipping.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
What
let's
a
go.
time skip.
Let's go to the next segment. We're gonna talk about Sonic
Yeah,
X.
Sonic X.
I have to say the Japanese version is a lot better in portraying Sonic and Amy's relation. Like especially I think what really cemented it was of course major episode is episode 9, when they were at the beach and then Amy got into a temper rage when Eggman destroyed her shell bracelet for Sonic. And what
Oh
I
yeah.
find very endearing that after that whole incident, like Amy thought she lost her shell bracelet, but Sonic ended up repairing it and wearing it. Like I found that very sweet.
And
Like,
Sonic swam. He was swimming as well.
mhm, because it's like even Tails was surprised. He's like, Sonic is swimming? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that part was weird. Like, I was like, Sonic, I thought you couldn't swim. Like,
Thing I question
Exactly.
is like, why did the others have the audacity to tell her it was a dream?
yeah. Yeah, that part was
Did they?
like,
I think they
um,
did.
I don't remember
Maybe
that.
I think they did. Did they? Maybe.
uh,
I can't.
um,
I can't remember.
I need to check this out.
and then I think another, like, I love episode 52, when they come back from Chris's world and they go back to their world. Japanese version
Chris's
is a Japanese version of this episode is way better. Like they really downplayed it in the 4Kids version, and I rewatched the entire series in Japanese. I'm like, oh my gosh, the Japanese version, it's 10 times better. Um, and the fact what's really interesting is that when Sonic comes back and he is Super Sonic, right? He actually goes to Amy's first, which is interesting. Like he saves Tails, like we know that part, but the first person he actually goes to see is Amy, which is so interesting because it's like, and like I think it's very interesting that they actually put that, in the episode where he actually goes to visit Amy first. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I can't take Sonic's face seriously.
Like, I think it's a lot more meaningful that he gave the rose to her in the Japanese version because it has a lot more weight and meaning to it. if you know what I mean. And I think what's really interesting, you know how like Sonic like mouth moves, but you don't hear no audio at all. You
Yeah,
know,
because Hikaru Michi was playing.
like some people have speculated that Sonic did say "I love you" in Japanese. You know, it's just a speculation because some people have said that, oh, I can read the mouth flaps. He does say "I love you" in Japanese. I'm like, hmm. And you do wonder how come it was a decision by the animation company to just have the mouth flaps but not say it. Like, what do you guys think of that? What are your speculation on that?
Implication. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. Implications!
What about you,
Um,
Andrew?
Well, I just want to point out, I quickly just watched the ending of episode 9, that bit. Yeah, Cream just tells Amy that Tails and Chris are the ones that pulled her out of the water and that Sonic just ran off. So it just goes to the question, like, why is Cream, like, is Cream making this up, or is Cream just lying to her, or did they tell Cream to tell Amy that, oh, don't tell her that Sonic was swimming because Sonic doesn't want Amy to know? It's like it
Yeah.
opens loads of questions. I find that very interesting
In
now
my
to look back at
face.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah, Cream is lying to Amy's face.
Please be right
It was
back.
Chris and Tails that pulled you out of the water. It's like, what? No, it wasn't. It was Sonic.
Yeah.
Because Tails actually
But
says, isn't it? You know, Sonic swimming.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh.
but
Yeah.
but what's your thoughts on the Japanese version of like why do you think you know cuz I've mentioned that people have speculated that Sonic's mouth flaps in the Japanese version he says I love you. But why do you think it was a decision by the animation company to just have the mouth flaps but no audio for that part?
Hmm. It's very to tease the fans, I guess, to leave the fans questioning and craving to know what he said
Mhm.
to Amy. But really, he could have said anything. He could have said like, "I brought this flower for you," or "I like your hair," or
I
"Your dress
like
looks
your
very nice."
I like your hair after coming back. Um, but
um, yeah, I mean, I think it's just that I think they like to tease and keep it like mysterious, which I think is a cool idea, really.
yeah.
Um, but Sonic X heavily like hints that there's a relationship love thing going on between those two. Sonic X really showed it the most, I think.
Mhm.
There's so many episodes that tease it. Like was it the Medric saga where Amy's wearing that dress and Sonic's all embarrassed and he's looking like shy.
Yeah.
Um it's there. I
Mhm.
just think maybe Sonic's just actually a shy guy deep down when it comes to romance. He just doesn't know how to express himself. Maybe maybe Sonic's afraid of not being able to commit properly to a relationship. Who knows? There's many questions to their romance,
Mhm. Yeah, like
but Sonic X
absolutely.
really shows it the most.
Yeah. It's definitely true. And you know, you got to give it to the Japanese version. We got the best romance song in that series, Hikaru Michi. We need to talk about that because this is clearly a Sonic and Amy song. Um and I think you're right on I think you're pretty spot on, Andrew, that literally if you translate the lyrics of Hikaru Michi, like there's one verse in it where it says, "Boy, let's meet secretly," or something like that. Translates to that. So
Mm.
it's like, hmm. So I think it really cements that it's like you said, there is something there between Sonic and Amy, but it's like it's just a very mysterious connection they have to each other in some way.
Mm. Yeah, or maybe
And
it's just a case that because I remember reading somewhere, or maybe I misread it, I don't know, but didn't Yuji Naka say something on the lines of like Sonic can't be in a relationship? So maybe they like teasing the romance, but they're never really going to commit to it.
mm-hmm. Exactly. Like Hikaru
Yeah.
Michi is such a beautiful song, and it really beautifully cements their mysterious relationship, because like to this day they still are like they won't confirm nor deny. Like that's how I describe the Sonamy ship, like
Yeah.
because they're kind of like they just don't want to confirm, but at the same time they don't want to deny. So it's an interesting, like Sonic and Amy and Sonic X it like it has like its cute moments, and
Mm.
definitely something that I've always remembered. I've told people this, that I grew up with Sonic X, and this was literally my first exposure to Sonic and Amy, and and stuff. So I think they really
Mm.
showcase it very well in this show. So definitely, I love Sonic and Amy and Sonic X. All right, let's go to the
Yeah.
next
No,
segment.
I'm just questioning why Cream was lying to Amy. I just don't understand that. I mean, do they know that Sonic took the bracelet? And then it's like why is Cream crying with Amy at the end? It's like
But
is
maybe
Cream secretly crying because she knows she's lying to her?
and she's still on that about why is Cream lying to Amy? Like this is like
But
fixation on that episode. I find it
it's
so
true though.
funny.
It's like I don't understand it now. Looking back at it, I'm like, wait. They know that Sonic is swimming to rescue Amy, but Cream tells her that it was Chris and Tails. I'm so confused.
Oh, it probably might have or
I'm gonna have to
something.
rewatch it fully from start to finish again, the episode, and just double check. I'm I'm confused.
All right, so let's go to the
I just
next.
got back and now I'm confused.
Here's the next segment. We're gonna talk about Sonic Boom, the one where they really love teasing it in jokes in the show. My gosh.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
with
um,
Sonic.
Sonic Boom, it's either they were teasing it or they were implying.
yes,
I'll
like
say both. I think
yeah, I
they
would.
were teasing, but they're also implying because they know the fans love this ship, and they're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna play around with this and muck around.
I still remember my favorite like tease of it is like in the 4-part episode of Robots in the Sky. And then Sonic answers a call on his communicator from Amy. I was like, "Hey Sonic, when are you coming back?" And then Maiton's like, "Who's that? Is she your girlfriend or something?" What? No. Oh, I get it. She's the one who wears the pants in the relationship. Nobody wears pants. Nobody. And then he's like, and he's literally just like responds to Amy. So yeah, Ames, I'm just gonna hang out with my bros, and and she's like, "Oh yeah, don't forget that we have that," and he just cuts her off. And then the whole time you see Sonic talking on the communicator, you can see Tails is sly, smirk, and face throughout that entire scene. Like I feel like Tails just knows at this point.
Yeah, and let's not forget the Sonamy spicy.
You know my favorite tease in the show?
Mhm.
Eggman going up to Sonic while he's sleeping, and Sonic's like, "Go away, Amy, I'm not in the mood." Eggman!
Yeah, that part was hilarious. Another tease that was hilarious, I think like the whole town, including Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, got hypnotized. uh, You know, um, and then like Styx tries to wake up Sonic. It's like what is it, Sugar Plum or something like that? And then Styx is like, don't, it's like, don't, I was like, don't talk to me like that. I'm not Amy. like, like even Styx just knows that there's something between the two. like, um, I think another, I think another Sonamy thing that was funny. It was also in the Biggest Fan episode where like Amy can clearly see that Mark the tapir has like a weird obsession with Sonic, and Amy mentions, your friend has a weird obsession with you. And Tails is like, you should know. And then she just growls at it. Like she just growls at Tails like, dude, don't even go there. like that
I
part
love
was
that.
hilarious. Like I think that was interesting on that part, you know? Like I think what they did for Boom was just so interesting. Um because you can clearly see that at least like Sonic is more comfortable around Amy, you know, because like Amy like in this iteration she doesn't really like, you know, hug him, you know, to declare her love. It's more like, yeah, like I'm good with being friends, but I still have feelings for you deep down type thing. And I think this dynamic really works in Boom, you know? Like how would you guys what did you guys think of their dynamic in Boom?
Can we all agree that their dynamic is basically like a married couple?
Yes.
And like the show just really shows that cuz like that I don't know which episode it is, but I just know that it involves Sonic, Knuckles and Tails just going out, and then Amy is just like, don't do something I wouldn't do. And then Sonic's like, I thought you said have fun. That's a married couple. That's something a married couple would say.
Oh my gosh. Like I think like I think the one that was really cute was like the one in Transnexus. You guys remember that episode, right? Where like Tails has like this robot that translates what's on your mind, something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
I just found that very interesting, you know, with you know, and then like when Sonic like saves Amy after she gets blasted, and then like you hear UT's like, I care about your well-being. It's like, oh, and then he just smiles and then just runs. like, he's like, I don't want to dwell on it that much. um but I think what was really cute was that Amy and Sonic actually did like a selfie at Eggman's base in like a flashback or something. That part was so random, but it was adorable. Trying to think what other. Ooh, okay. I think another moment I like is like when Amy had the bee bot as a pet, and then like um she started getting sad because her bee bot went back to Eggman, and then they were all trying to cheer up Amy, and then Sonic's like, let's talk about our feelings. Like he's like so hesitant um to actually do it, but he's like, okay, I'll do this for Amy's sake, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Sonic just like sometimes he could be like you know, a goofball, but when it comes to Amy, sometimes he'll go out of his way to like, you know, make sure that she's okay and that she's happy. So and stuff.
Sonic is husband material to Amy.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm trying to think what's that. I know there was and what's interesting that if you remember that episode My Fair Stixie, like you know how like Stix got invited to an award or something like that? And then Amy like told Stix, you need like escort. The first person she goes to, she turns to Sonic. So I think it's pretty obvious that like Amy knows that Sonic can be a gentleman at times. which is very interesting. Like, what did you guys think of that? Like, why do you think Amy um immediately go to immediately face Sonic?
I think she just knows what Sonic's capable of, I guess.
Yeah, she knows him very well.
Mm-hmm. Because
Maybe it's just something behind the scenes that we don't know about.
yeah. I mean, because I think it's pretty obvious in like various episodes when they tease it that like, yeah, there's more what's happening behind the scenes that we don't know and that we don't get to see, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
Indeed.
but Sonic Boom had a really great run for what it was, especially for Sonamy teasing. So let's go to the next one so we can wrap up the last 30 minutes because we do have 5 more segments, but we will rapid fire these. Sonic Prime.
Sonic
Ooh.
Prime, with Sonic Prime, I just know it just shows more emotion with Sonic than for some reason Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more of Sonic's story, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And
Which is totally fair.
when you think about it, the main
Yes.
point is that when it comes to Amy, Sonic has taken inspiration, especially when it came to Thorn Rose, to actually just talk it out, which is so interesting because Sonic
Mm.
usually dismissed it in the flashback, but then when he didn't have the heart to hurt Thorn Rose, he literally took the approach that Amy would take in this situation and just talk to her. And I think that was an interesting approach because normally Sonic wouldn't do that. You know, usually Sonic would just be the one to fight, just jump into action without really fully understanding the situation. But here he's like, okay, I got to take a different approach with her because if I try to fight her, it's just going to make it worse. So he actually took, Amy's advice and just talk it out. And that literally got to Thorn, and I think that was very important for Sonic to take Amy's advice in that. What did you guys
Oh,
think
absolutely.
of being inspired by Amy?
Word of advice, guys: trust your girlfriends.
What do
Well,
you think, Andrew?
um, yeah, yeah, it's like Sonic is learning from Amy, I guess. It's like they're learning from each other and they're growing together in their own separate ways, but still staying, you know, still lovers for each other.
Hmm. Yeah, like literally, if it was like, I know when he was meeting the other 3 roses, he can't even bear the thought to hurt any of them. And he literally flirted with other variations of her too. Like, um so it's very interesting that people brought up that why do you think Sonic and Sonic Prime was like flirting with other variations of Amy? What do you guys think?
Practice.
Well, it's because they're Amy's, isn't it?
Like, do you
Sonic's like, oh, they're more than one. Okay.
like
He was in
like
heaven.
Wow! What does that mean?
but like, do you think maybe because they weren't showing interest in him that he's like, oh, I could probably practice with them. um
Maybe.
it's kind of like, like he did the same thing in Black Knight with Nemiu, because at first he freaked out because he saw Amy's face, but then he noticed Nemiu was behaving so differently from Amy, so very interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. Those are all my
I'm
thoughts
trying to
about.
prevent myself from saying something dumb.
Um, all right, let's move on to the next segment, which is, of course, Sonic Channel and Japanese media. Okay, this one should be a short one. This one is basically Sonic Channel has some different portrayals. Like I know we have this artwork that is on the segment card, and that kind of tells a story, you know. But at the same time, they have shown like the Sonic and Friends like in the kimonos. Like I know they recently released one this year, I forgot when, where they had like I think Sonic as an emperor and Amy as his empress. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? What do you think they're trying to tell us?
They're just promoting
Well,
Sonic and Amy as like they're married.
yeah, pretty much. They're clearly hinting at the Sonic channel in Japanese media is very similar to like the whole Sonic X dynamic as well. So they really like to push it. I find in the Japanese
Yeah, I wonder why that
versions.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I know there was like live streams like in Japan, like they use the Tails Tube model, like character models, and they actually have like exclusive Japanese with the characters and stuff. And I think when they were celebrating Sonic's birthday in Japan, um I think on Sonic's cake, there was like Japanese writing on it, but someone translated that it means like eternal love. And since Amy made the cake, they are like, it seems like they are implying that Sonic has accepted Amy's eternal love for him, which is
mm,
interesting. So I think that's what's interesting about the Japanese media because we don't get this in the US media, you know. And of course, I think there was like an episode I think that I saw that Sonic was talking so much about Amy in an admiration way. Like he literally said that Amy is one of the, talking about, her personality traits and stuff. And he actually said that like Knuckles actually goes to Amy to guard the Master Emerald, not Sonic or Tails. Like Sonic actually reveals that Knuckles asked Amy to protect the Master Emerald in his place. So,
makes sense.
and I find it very interesting. And like I said, the Japanese media, like we don't get this stuff in the US media for Sonic, so I find it very interesting. Um but yeah. But we can talk a little bit about Tales too, because there's this Christmas one that they did where Amy gave Sonic a heart-shaped photo frame with her photo, and then Sonic decides to do the like jerk move and just put the photo that he and Tails took of Eggman. I'm like, bro, don't do that in front of her. That's not the best thing to do. But then Amy just let it go.
Doing
She's like, oh, go ahead, do.
he was trying to hide it.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
like I found it so funny when Amy's like, it's fine, it's fine. Like she's trying to like show she's not disappointed. But it's clearly like I love how Amy at least tried to be mature about it. She didn't try to call him out that like, why did you take the photo out? Like she actually was mature about it. So the Slack channel in Japanese media is just interesting, but TailsTube is interesting too. All right, let's go to the next segment. Is the IDW ones. Like we can name like some cute moments that you guys remember from the IDW. um Of course, the one that's in the segment card. That one was cute. Um, I think there was one where what was it? I think Doom, you mentioned it in the Twitter space yesterday that or I forgot who it was, but I know you mentioned that you loved the moment where in the IDW comics where like Amy was looking for Sonic and put her ear to the ground or something.
Mention that, but I will admit, that was a part of her girlish intuition, right?
I think so, yeah. That part was just very interesting. I'm like, this is the first time I've ever seen Amy actually do that in any Sonic Mania, like put her ear to the ground to see where she can find Sonic. But I think in the second issue of IDW, I think my favorite one is that Sonic goes into his monologue, about like being able to run free and go where he goes, right? Going into
Yeah,
his
I was thinking of
monologue.
that.
And then
Yeah.
Amy's like, she's just sighing, like, and then she's like shaking her head, and Sonic's like visibly uncomfortable in the next panel. And she's like, no, no, no. And she's like, you do you. It's like, I don't want to change you. That's just who you are. like she's like swooning over him, but she like shakes her head because she knows that Sonic's gonna get uncomfortable. And I kind of like that Amy respects his boundary that way too. Like, that's what you need in an actual serious relationship, that you need to have boundaries, you know? Um, and I'm trying to remember the other ones. I know there was one in the writer's arc that they did for IDW. um, where it's like she just goes to glomp Sonic. That part was cute too. Any other moments that you guys can recall from the IDW?
Hmm.
Uh,
I mean, there's a lot of Sonic holding Amy when they run.
oh my gosh, just kiss already, you two.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious, just do it.
It's
Just
like
do it.
like yeah, like you could say that like in the IDW comics they show maturity at least. Like where it's not like Sonic is running away from Amy anymore. It's more like he's more comfortable around her, and at the same time on Amy's aspect, like she knows not to like make him feel uncomfortable. So she is respecting his boundaries, which I'm glad that they do, because it's like, it's pretty obvious in the earlier days, she didn't really respect his boundaries, which of course Sonic didn't really, you could say Sonic's not really great at communicating his boundaries, but I think maybe Amy might have caught that, like, oh, maybe my actions in the past made him feel uncomfortable. Let me respect his
Mm.
boundaries. And then now that we see in the IDW comics, they're a lot more comfortable with each other, and she respects his boundaries, and that's why he's more comfortable now. And
Oh
that's and
yeah.
that's
Yeah. I was gonna say there's definitely a lot of respect in the IDW comics with the way they are with each other.
like there's no the usual one-sided like Amy chase Sonic anymore. It's more like they both respect each other, but at the same time they're respecting each other's boundaries, especially Amy. Because when you look back at it
Romantic
now,
comrade in arms.
it's kind of like when you look back at the way it was portrayed back then, the ship was portrayed, it was just very one-sided. It was just a girl chasing after a guy, who was clearly uncomfortable with her advances, so they really have come a long way, and IDW
Mm.
clearly shows that very well. And I can't wait to see more of it, because of course IDW comics is still ongoing. But let's go to the next one. This is the dynamic shifts, and we can clearly see this. Now this is where we can talk about frontiers. um I love what they did in Frontiers. Like they literally are bringing back Sonic Adventure 1 Amy into this. Um Back in Frontiers. Like I feel like some people forget that like Amy's entire like character isn't fully revolving around Sonic. I feel like people forget that. Like they say Amy is not, it's like Amy's not what she used to be. It's like, well, I feel like because they are growing up, and they're going through they're going through things together,
Mm.
Um, and clearly in Frontiers, it's a more darker story. So, you know, like literally, like Amy, Tails, and Knuckles are like digitized, and Amy, Amy saw, she was helping she was helping Coco's, and especially this Coco lover who was waiting for their lover to, because apparently they couldn't say like they were too shy to say that they love each other, which is an interesting mirror to Sonic and Amy,
Mm.
like, because when you think about it, it's like Sonic and Amy never really get to say "I love you" to each other. Like, when is the right time? It gives you the question that, like, um, and it got Amy actually thinking about pondering this. That, like, oh, and she's like, I'm not sure what I saw, but I know what. And she's like, she didn't fully comprehend it, but she understood that. Oh, like, I know I saw a love that transcended time, you know? And of course they have that very deep conversation in that, like, poppy meadow. I think those are poppy flowers,
They look like
and
puppies.
yeah, I think, and then I think poppies have very important meaning. I don't want to. Okay, here it is. Red poppies is a symbol of both remembrance and hopeful for a peaceful future.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that they use poppies to represent this, this shift in their dynamic. Um, so I think it's an interesting thing, and what's interesting about the poppy is that the poppy is a well-known and well-established symbol, one that carries a wealth of history and meaning. And I think this is usually used for, like, it's like poppies are also worn as a show of support for the armed forces community, which is interesting. And when you think about it, there's that specific thing that they do that, I think it's like, how the two Coco lovers, like the one that had the weird brown, like, headpiece, I guess. I think they were like a soldier. So it's interesting. It's an interesting mirroring, because you could say that, like, Sonic is like this soldier, that comes back, you know, and Amy has her devoted love for him. So you could say it's an interesting mirror to the Coco lover couple in a way. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that.
Yeah.
Notice what?
You know how, like, the two Coco lovers, like, one of them is like actually a soldier. So I found that very interesting, because red poppies are actually used for the armed forces community, from what I just read. So I think it's an interesting mirror to Sonic and Amy, because if you know, Sonic always likes to he loves adventure, but does go into battle a lot. And you could say that comes off as like a soldier that's been away, but then comes back to their loved one. Like, I'm not sure if you noticed that, Doom.
So you're telling me that. So you're telling me, like, at some point when Sonic goes into, like, some sort of battle and it just feels like the end of the world, that's when Sonic reciprocates? If that makes sense?
Yeah, like, it kind of seems to imply that, because like, like, if you have a loved one that's like in the military and they go fight off in the war and you don't know if they're gonna come back, it's kind of like that. Um, and when you think about it, Amy reflects on this, and she actually is like, she tells Sonic that like I actually want to go share this love with the world. You know, because she knows that she needs to separate herself from Sonic for a while, you know, and share all that love with the world. And literally Sonic is like, I'll be here waiting. And he said you could tell me all about it when you come back. So it's a very deep conversation, and I love that they do that because it's like because you know like during that era when they portrayed the dy- the dynamic between Sonic and Amy, it was like, oh, there's um there's like an imbalance where it's like we don't get a true deep dive into their relationship, you know, and but here it's like Amy has seen like these two Coco lovers go through something like this, and you know, and it's kind of like what I enjoyed about Frontiers because it's like a whole new shift. Like Frontiers kind of shows this shift in their, you know, in their relationship, and I appreciate what they did, you know. All right, let's go.
When you said that, you're kind of saying that Amy's the armed soldier and Sonic's the lover, but okay.
Like it's kind of like the roles have reversed in some way. Like all the time when Sonic went off on an adventure on his own, you know, Amy was always waiting for him. But then now Amy's like, you know what? I actually want to go out on my own, you know, share that love, you know, with as many people as I can. And then Sonic's like, you know what? I'll wait for you. So they're kind of showing that they're like willing to wait for each other. Like, I'm not sure if you guys got that
Yeah, I
vibe.
got that.
Yeah, I got that.
So I think it's just an interesting shift now that like now it's becoming more balanced, you know, and yeah. I'm hoping they do more with it in future games, and stuff. But let's get to the last segment. This is going to be the shortest one. It's the Sonic and Amy prediction in movie 4.
Hey.
Okay. From my perspective, they can go any way they could. The possibilities are endless. Haha, pun. but but I would say they could go in any direction because I know I forgot the two people they interviewed, and they literally are hinting that like they clearly are showing that movie Sonic is very different from his game counterpart, and they are saying that movie Sonic is growing up. The biggest challenge he's gonna face is girls. So, what do you make of that?
um, I think they're kind of implying it's going to be like possibly a romantic comedy adventure film. Um, I'm
Yes.
expecting romance. The thing with movie Sonic or the movie universe is that they're not limited down by rules. Like if they want Sonic to be emotional, they can do it. If they want Sonic to cry, they will do it. If they want
Mhm.
Sonic to have all sorts of feelings and whatever, they will do it. So I'm expecting some sort of romance in it. And I actually kind of hope movie Sonic is the obsessed one where he actually really likes Amy. Because I think it'd be really cool to have a
Yes!
different spin on it. I think it'd be really fun.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Like, I know lots of people are hoping it's reverse where Sonic is the one that falls first, that falls in love first or something, because I think it would make an interesting dynamic shift, you know, from what we're used to. Because I would say it was like Amy who fell in love first, and then like Sonic slowly started to fall in love with her. Like, would you guys say
Yeah.
that? Would you guys think that in the
I mean,
main games, it's like Amy fell in love first, pretty obviously, and then like it's like Sonic over time slowly fell in love with her.
yeah, I would say
Falls in
that.
slow motion.
Yeah.
with slow motion. But yeah, they
Also,
can go.
I think
Oh,
also for the movie universe is that if you do, flip it around, have Sonic be the one that kind of likes, loves Amy or likes Amy, you have more to play with, and have Sonic trying to be a show off. You can have a lot of funny moments. He's trying to be cool, trying to be funny, and it will just like
Yes.
it just becomes embarrassing for him, and you can just do so much more with it if you just flip it around.
mhm. Like, I think what was interesting yesterday when I did the Twitter space for Sonamy, I think Kenny brought up a good point that, like, it would be cool if Movie Sonic had actually went to Maddie for love advice. And I think that would be an interesting dynamic because I don't think going to Tom would work. And I'm thinking maybe if we went to Tom, those methods wouldn't really work on Amy, and probably movie Amy would either confuse or like think that he's like, what is he doing? Like, you know, like if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
How about you, Doom? What do you think, what are your predictions that they will make their dynamic in movie 4?
Um, I don't know. I just really want reverse on Amy in the movies.
Gotcha.
I
Yeah,
don't care what
like
anyone else says. I want reverse on Amy.
yeah, and I think someone mentioned yesterday, I forgot who it was in the Twitter space, that like imagine what if Sonic and Amy, like what if Amy recognizes him and it was like, you know how like Sonic when they showed that flashback in movie 1 where he was just running around, I guess Green Hill, like that loop-de-loop and stuff, and they're like maybe he might have saved Amy when they were young and then Amy still remembered him and then maybe movie Sonic forgot about her. That's also an interesting thing.
Mm,
So like
possibly. I
it
don't know if that
I
would.
think I remember seeing that in fan art.
yeah.
Mm, I think for story wise that it would kind of just be a bit weird because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe
Yeah, that's
Sonic just didn't know how to use his powers back then, so it wouldn't make sense.
I
that
think it makes more sense that Amy's actually from the future. That's why she's in a cloak trying to hide herself, because that's what you do when you time travel. Even though she just revealed herself to Sonic, but and
yeah.
obviously Metal Sonic
Yeah.
is time traveling. It's obvious, so it's going to be time travel, and that's how you
Yeah.
can bring Robotnik back. It's a Robotnik from a different timeline or point in time.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, because I can just also imagine, just as a last bit before we end this live stream, that I can definitely see him trying to play it cool, but then he's like failing at it, and then Amy just like giggles at him or something.
Yeah,
This is something as simple as that. Like he tries to play it cool, but then he ends up embarrassing himself, like in front of his crush or something.
The
So
Max and Roxanne dynamic.
yeah.
yeah,
Like that's also because, we could clearly see that movie Sonic's a goofball, so and at the same time that he can get embarrassed if anything. So, yeah, that's all the predictions I have for their dynamic in the movie. And of course, unfortunately, we will have to end this live stream. Of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in to the official day 1 of live streams for Serenity Spring Festival. And of course, I got to give shout out to my BFFs here, Doom the MemeQueen and AndrewHVA. Thank you both for coming on to do this Team Serenity live stream today.
Of
you're welcome.
course.
Yes, and of course, before we end, I also want to tell what's going on for the rest of this week for week 1 of Serenity Spring Festival. So be sure to tune in tomorrow on April 4 for the Sonic and the Dragon's Path fan art contest Twitter space on my Twitter at 1 p.m. PT, 4 p.m. ET, where Megma will be joining me, where we are going to be talking about the full fan art contest details. And if you want to participate in that, tune into that Twitter space tomorrow. Then on Saturday, April 5, we have the Super Mario Chat with Kenny Twitter space. And that will also be a Twitter space. And on my Twitter, that will be at 12 p.m. PT, 3 p.m. ET. And then April 6th, this week, is Tangle and Blaze episode 6. Spring Fun with Sonic and Amy, which is going to be at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET. Yes, we are doing the next Tangle and Blaze Tangle Fiery Shenanigans episode about spring. And of course, Sonic and Amy are going there, so be sure to tune into that. And of course, week 2 I will be saying that more in my Twitter spaces, so be sure to tune in to my Twitter space tomorrow. And I may mention about week 2, so I want to thank you guys all for tuning in and have a wonderful night. And be sure to stay tuned to all the Twitter spaces and upcoming live streams for my spring festival. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.